Activated, your window into an extraordinary world lived by many, yet celebrated by few. We showcase how to rally for persons with disabilities, taking you on a journey with valuable life lessons and intriguing personalities, leaving you ready for action. Activated takes us on a journey of taking lessons from persons with disabilities and how we must do things differently to unleash the contribution persons with disabilities can and must make to building a disability-inclusive Mzansi. In today's program, Technology as a Liberator and Equalizer, we meet Tracy Smith and discuss what the role of Deafblind SA is and how they assist with the deafblind community's inclusion in society. We speak to Constance Ntuli and Professor Dada from the University of Pretoria's Augmentative and Alternative Communication Department. And we end our show with Thabiso Molopo, who shares with us how he engages in sports activities and how prosthetics help him in physical activities. Hello and welcome to Activated with me, Helga Barkhuizen. Hulptegnologie is 'n alomvattende term wat al die stelsels in dienste dek wat verband hou met bystandsprodukte en dienslewering. Hulpprodukte handhaaf of verbeter 'n individu se funksionering en onafhanklikheid en bevorder daardeur hul welstand. Gehoorapparate, rolstoele, kommunikasiehulpmiddels, brille, protese, pulorganiseerders en geheuehulpmiddels of toepassings wat kommunikasie en kognisie ondersteun is almal voorbeelde van bystandsprodukte. Hierdie produkte ondersteun interpersoonlike kommunikasie, toegang tot inligting en daaglikse tydbestuur. Toegang tot ondersteunende tegnologie is 'n mensereg en 'n voorvereiste vir gelyke deelname en geleenthede. Now let's get activated. Tracy Smith matriculated at Pioneer School, Worcester in 1998. Trained as a telephonist, but started working as a Braille proofreader, from where she was promoted to the position of Braille instructor. Let's meet her. She studied massage therapy and reflexology part-time, and after relocating to KZN, started her own business, Rejuvenate Me. She taught music at Dune Heights and have a few months' experience as a transcriptionist. She is now involved in audio description work and also acting chairman of Deafblind SA.
I joined Deafblind SA quite by accident. A friend of mine was asked to volunteer for Deafblind SA. This was just in 2019, and she brought me along to be there the second day. And already they embraced me and welcomed me and made me a part of them. And I attended the quadrennial just before COVID struck, and I was already roped in to do some work, and it progressed until at the moment I'm acting national chairperson of Deafblind SA, and it's quite an exciting ride and learning quite a lot of things. So because of the challenges that we face, we depend on assistive technology. Now, assistive technology is a term that is used for technology that helps you overcome certain things that you struggle with. If you need to know where to walk, you will use a cane. If you need to use your computer, you would have software that speaks to you. Same with your phone. So all those things are assistive technology. It can be high-tech or it can be low-tech. My assistive technology I rely on the most is my hearing aids. They're the first things that I go for. And then of course I have my phone that speaks to me and my computer that speaks to me. Those are the things that I use most in my day-to-day life. And technology has definitely changed my life because it made me able to do things that I couldn't do before. I remember I had an old Nokia phone and I had to remember how to send a message. I had to how many arrows to press down. I didn't know if I was doing it right. And I always had to ask someone to read for me what's happening. And then the smartphone with speech came along and I was independent with my phone. Same with my computer. I could never use a computer before until there was speech. My hearing aids have also helped me a lot because my hearing fluctuates, so I don't know that when I am actually not hearing properly. People get offended because I'm not answering them when they speak to me. So the hearing aids have made it a little bit more stable for me. I work for Shakila Accessible Media, and we produce audio described movies which a blind person can then watch the movie independently by listening to the audio description tracks. And most of my work is done online, either by attending Zoom calls, and I also have to verify the audio description tracks so that they make sense to a blind person, and lots of that is by playing the movie on my computer and then reading the script as on my computer and then seeing if it makes sense and then watching it together with a sighted person. So my day is very much dependent on assistive technology. I couldn't do my work without it.
To quote Mark Twain, American writer, humorist, entrepreneur, and publisher, kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. Na die advertensiebreek praat ons met Constance Ntuli en professor Shakila Dada om verder uit te pak hoe tegnologie die wêreld van mense met kommunikasieprobleme bevry. Ons is nou weer terug. Welcome back. Prof. Dada is the head of the Center for Augmentative and Alternative Communication. The center was founded in 1990 by Prof. Erna Alant in conjunction with Prof. Lyle Lloyd from the USA. The impetus to start the center came from concerned parents requesting better and more coordinated service delivery for their children with severe disabilities and little to no functional speech. The activities of the center quickly expanded from direct service delivery to training and education through degree and non-degree courses. Welcome, Constance. Welcome, Professor Dada. It's so great having you with us.
Thank you.
Constance, the ability to communicate is absolutely fundamental to being human, right? And communication just helps us to share our ideas and our dreams, and as a platform for our creativity. So as a non-speaking young woman, how did you as a child overcome the challenges to communicate with your family and with your school?
It was challenging growing up and having to deal with not being able to speak. And also dealing with people gossiping and laughing at me. Initially, I stayed indoors most of the time. I didn't want to go outside because I had a very low self-esteem. But at school and around my family, I would come out a bit, like I was just there with them and listening to them, and what was talked about, you know. Not really engaging and sharing my views and points in what was talked about. This enabled me to speak for myself and participate more in my family and community.
That's great. I believe that you gained access to the AAC. How has this liberated you and changed you and empowered you in ways that you weren't before?
AAC changed my life completely. I got a second chance to be something meaningful in life. I became employed, I mean getting a job, especially when you are non-verbal, is a lot harder. I am a mentor, an inspirational speaker. I even got the opportunity to go to Zimbabwe and local places outside Pretoria, which I never imagined. And most exciting, I am a mother to 2 beautiful baby girls. The opportunities I am getting now that I have my synthetic voice, they are just life-changing.
Okay, Professor Dada, we're going to move on to you. So, augmentative and alternative communication technology has absolutely been a game changer for people who don't have vocal cords. Can you tell us how it has changed communication between people who can speak and who can't as easy?
Augmentative and alternative communication is basically, applicable or helpful to many different types of individuals. So not only those that perhaps have some kind of disturbance in their vocal cords, it can also be a neurological condition, somebody with cerebral palsy, somebody with autism, and then of course it can be used also for people that are older, people with a neurological condition, post-stroke or dementia. And what it really does is provides access to communication, and there's a wide variety of options. You've seen Constance is a literate person, so she's able to type her messages and get that across, whereas another person might use graphic symbols, gestures or signs to be able to communicate. So we try to get a multimodal communication going for an individual based on various skills or strengths that they have related to their understanding of symbols or literacy, etc. So it gives people access to communication, and through that access to education, employment, and participation in life and in society, which is really essential to our well-being and just feeling good, as being part of our community.
Absolutely. So, augmentative and alternative communication, how do we get it to the greater disability community? And do we have, pioneers in main centres that can help, promote AAC to the greater community out there?
Yes, absolutely. So at the University of Pretoria, we have the Centre for Augmentative and Alternative Communication. It's really the only centre of its kind in Africa that does training in AAC at a postgraduate level. So that's one way of doing it, and it's open to educators, speech therapists, OTs, physios, etc. So the important thing is that it's a transdisciplinary field, and it really requires, because the person has complex needs, requires solutions from various perspectives. So, that's one way of doing it. And I think another way is to train caregivers and parents, family members, as well as community stakeholders in terms of AAC. Just the basics of don't be afraid, say hello to the person, see how the system works and communicate with them. Don't just assume because they're silent, they have nothing to say. I think that's a huge assumption that we make about people. So I think, using kind of a broad-based approach to training more than just professionals is required.
Absolutely. How would they gain access to this? Do they come to your centre? Do they Google this? How would they gain access to AAC?
So it's very interesting because, previously we were kind of like a hub. We're seeing more and more therapists, schools actually implementing AAC. So AAC is on the tender for example, at certain hospitals where you can get devices. So your therapist can help you there. There's also a basket of technology that's available through the education department. So I think the important thing is we've improved in terms of people having access, but we need to train people in terms of how to use it.
Yes.
It's not a magic bullet. You give it to the person and then they can communicate. Like everything else, people have to be trained on it. So, there's a wide variety. There's also low-tech or more cheaper options, if I can say it that way, with the advent of all of the mobile technologies. So, what would have cost a fortune for Constance now becomes still expensive, but much more attainable than where we were a few years ago.
Professor Dada, in closing, we've seen all of these wonderful technological advances. Where is there still a lack as far as augmentative and alternative communication technology?
There are actually quite a few areas that need improvement. One is actually availability of trained personnel in schools and in the healthcare setting. That would be one area. So not everybody knows about AAC and what are the benefits. I think another very important thing is that most of the technology is available primarily in English. There are very few that would allow somebody to use it in the language that they speak in South Africa. So that's a huge area of potential work that we could improve. There's some strides being made, but of course there's a lot more that we can do in that regard.
Thank you so much, Professor Dada and Constance, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we see all of those improvements this year. After the break, we meet Thabiso Molopo that has completed the 3rd year of a media program for persons with impairments and shows a keen interest in media and disability activism. We talk about his journey with his mobility impairment, starting from the moment he lost mobility, and walk through his discovery of electronic prosthetics versus general prosthetics. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Thabiso Molopo was born in Vlakplaagte number 2, Buchlebesizwe, and grew up in a family of 7 siblings. At the age of 9, he lost both his legs due to being hit by a car. A huge transformation, for sure. In grade 3, he was dismissed because they could not provide the resources he required to attend school there. Instead, he attended a private school which catered for his special needs. Thabiso was able to start walking with prosthetic legs in grade 10, not least following a year in a wheelchair due to complications using crutches to assist with his walking. Achieving walking on his own without any aids gave him the confidence to take control of his life.
Thatha isikhathi kakhulu ukuthi lenyawo ngizijwayele. Kokuqala benginenkinga ukuthi lezi izanzi ezindala inyawo bengakhona ukubalansa kahle, bengakhona ukukhupha izinto ezisindayo. Bengihlala nje ngistrafeka okunye ngiwa nje ngingakhona ukuzicontrola kahle. Bengiwa nje sengihamba endleleni ngimane ngiwe. Ubona amajita bangilapha bangihleke lapha yana kodwa nto uyiswa yini yabo. So ngabona ukuthi kumele sithole lezi ezi-advance kuze ukuthi indlela yami yokuhamba ibe ngcono. So sasebenzisa i-rough kuze ukuthi ngizithole. Kokuqala bengingakazijwayeli bengisaba vele. Ube emehlelweni siba fast. Okunye bengibona ngathi ngizowa, but since ngizisebenzisa from almost 8 years or so, ngizi perfect. Ngizizwa ngathi vele inyawo zempela nje. Well, so yeah. Ngicabanga ukuthi i-government nama-medical aid kumele babe nokusebenzisana okuthize kuze ukuthi abantu abangakhona uzi-afforda lenyawo bakhona ukuzi-afforda. Kube ne-subsidy mhlambe babanikeza yona abantu kuze ukuthi bazi-afforde because zidura kakhulu. Akukho lula ukuthi umuntu azithole. So ngaphandle kokuthi mhlawumbe umuntu azithole through i-rough, but what about umuntu bekangekho kwe-accident, ku-car accident, kumele athole indlela. So if une-medical aid, i-government kumele mhlawumbe bamithi halfway, or i-government ibhadale mhlawumbe 80% or 70% of it. Le mhlawumbe ingaba ngcono, ngenza impilo zabantu zibe ngcono laba abanganamilenze or banganazandla. Mina lokho okwenzakala kimi personally, inyawo lezokuqala before the electronic ones, bengifunda e-cultural brongoro. So one day bengene esikolweni ngisiphathele ibag yami, ngiyezwa kukhala bo lapha phansi enyaweni. Manje ngiyazibuza ukuthi manje kwenzakalani. Mangithi ngiphakisa inyawo lenyawo lelinye lisala phansi. Ngabona ukuthi ngisilenyawo liphukile vele. Ngayenza ngathi vele ngibopha intamo zami zeyiqathulo. Ngahlala phansi majida babona ukuthi ayikani kwenzakalani, then beza bangiguga bangisa e-officeini. And fortunately bengina 2 pairs yeinyawo, so baba wami samfonela waziletha ezinye esikolweni. So lezi ze-electronic zona inkinga yayo ukuthi ngingaya kuNtuli bengiyi-event so kuthulile even phela kuthulile silalele njalo kanjalo. Ngiyezwa khala ngamala ngithi kwenzakalani. Kanti le nyawo lezi ziyarasa lapha. Because nabantu engihlezi duze nobayezwa ukuthi ngithi inyawo lami liyayenza liphela ibhetri. So kumele ukuthi ngilicharge. Noma ngithi ngiyasukuma nakhona angikhona ukuhamba because lijemile so ngathi lilahle ingqondo vele ngathi liyahlangana. So yeah, la ngishaya kanjalo, but bona they are good legs zona. Yeah. Ngicabanga ukuthi lama electronic prosthetics they are the best. Noma kubani okhona ukwa-afforda ongathola access yayo ngawasebenzisa ngoba akusilula ukuthi uwasebenzisa. Uyakhona ukuhamba ngawo entabeni, ungakhona ukwenzani ngawo, ungagijima, wakhona ukugibela ama-stairs ngawo, uyakhona ukwenza anything nje, you know, uyakhona ukulifta izinto ezinzima uzigugu uhambe nazo, ama-buckets or you can do anything by your own. Yabona, unlike the previous ones la bukunye bengifuna usizo kanjalo. So lezi ziseqophelweni eliphezulu ekuyibeka nje mhlambe ngesizulu sami esingaswakali kahle. Ngicabanga ukuthi kunabantu abane-disability abafundile, abanelwazi ngezinto ezidifferent. Bakhona abantu abane-disability abama-lawyer, abantu abane-disability abasebenza e-Eskom, bakhona abantu abane-disability abasebenza emamayinini. So it doesn't mean ukuthi umuntu one-disability kumele ukuthi ahlale ese-ofisini the whole day, umsebenzi obafanele, no. Bakhona abantu disability abafundile abanama-skills abaningi, bakhona ama-doctor abane-disability kanjalo. So i-disability ayilimithi umuntu ekutheni kumele abe yini. It's just i-disability nje kuphela. Umuntu uyakhona ukuqabanga, uyakhona ukusebenza, uyakhona uzenzela izinto. I-disability just nje, it's a minor challenge umuntu lo yanayo. Kufana nje nge-challenge yomuntu mhlambe oslow ekufundeni. Uslow, it doesn't mean umuntu uyi-slim or in, but uslow iphelela lapho. But u-capable ukwenza umsebenzi. Angawenza umsebenzi just uzowenza slowly. So disability nasithathe kanjalo nje ukuthi it's just disability. I can do anything, I can act. Uyakhona ukuzibhalela, uyakhona ukuzifundela, uyakhona uku-acta, uyakhona ukuzigijimela kanjalo nje. Just disability is just nje into ebile le disability angilithandi, but nje mina ngibona ukuthi it's just a challenge, physical challenge onayo phelela lapho nje.
Hulptegnologie help om die mense wat ons ondersteun te beskerm, om mense se onafhanklikheid, privaatheid en waardigheid te verhoog deur dit moontlik te maak om sorg slegs te lewer wanneer dit nodig is. Dit help ook mense om hul eie keuses en besluite oor hul lewens te maak. En so het ons aan die einde van vandag se program gekom. Bly veilig tot volgende week, selfde plek, selfde tyd. Only on SABC2, you belong. Join, like and share Activated on Facebook.